Hi, I'm the manager for DWPCorruption.co.uk, and this is the second part of the video. I've got Sherri with me, who we're talking to about Deadbeat for Dads, an association that's been provided for the public to get advice. Oh, good evening, Sherri. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Martin.
How does it work with people that get solicitors involved with extortionate fees? You know, we've been speaking earlier, and you stated that it costs £500 to go to a solicitor for people to get basic advice.
Yeah, basically what's happened is we've had telephone calls. A few of our members have informed us. If you Google in CSA lawyers or solicitors, you get a few firms that will come up. When you click on the site, they say, oh, we're experts in CSA law, legislation, contact us and we can help. When people have actually contacted these companies, what we found actually happened is they will go through the spiel on the telephone, and they will basically say have a look at your paperwork, have a look through your case, to give you our best advice on what we think we can do for you. Some firms are actually stating anything upwards to £500 just to do that. And to us, we feel fathers don't have that amount of money if they're the non-resident parent to begin with. Right. And we feel they're just making money out of misery.
Right. And I suppose what makes it worse is if that solicitor is part of common purpose, then the information and the advice that's being given to the public and people in these sort of awkward situations isn't really going to be any good to them anyway, due to the fact of the conspiracy and the collusion between the government bodies.
Oh, definitely, because what we found is they will get part of the way through the process. It could be a non-resident father will say, grasp at anything just to have a glimmer of hope. And these firms are then saying, yes, we can do this, we can do that. And he's thinking, oh, I've got a light at the end of the tunnel. What we then find is happening is they will say, well, we can help you on this bit, but on that bit of the law or that bit of the legislation, you're best off just taking it. You're best off just sitting there and basically, whatever the Secretary of State said has to be.
Right, I've got you. So over the last few months, we've been looking at protests with people on roofs and stuff like that. What's your opinion of Harriet Harman and the way she's dealing with things here? Do you think she's out purely to break the families up and have a dramatic effect on families generally?
Harriet Harman is out solely to help the women, to help women's laws, to help women's legislation. I find her to be totally biased against the male population.
Right.
In our opinion, as an association, it's not just a personal opinion. As our association, myself and my partner Maurice, it's a case of we feel that she's out to break the family, not bring families together, and they persecute the non-resident parent, i.e. being the father.
I mean, understandably, you're going to get people with different points of views here, but a strong point of view that I've gotten from speaking to many, many people, do you think a lot of this is to finance the New World Order, and there's some sort of conspiracy within government to make sure that the government funding's going in a direction that's going to benefit people that have already got money, and it's leaving the people that are on low incomes, and especially people that contact you like Deadbeat for Dads, in a dead awkward position because they haven't got the funding or the finance to have a fair hearing?
Definitely. You find that if you put everything together that we've been discovering, just on a CSA basis alone, it's all interconnected. You find the judicial system, if you're a male, I've often said, if you're a male now, and especially any children that are growing up who are male, God knows what the future's going to hold for them. And yet we believe it's part of a much bigger picture. And we say, if you're a male, you're sunk. If you're growing up, if you're a child growing up, what's the future going to be like for them? And everything points to the fact the government wants to make the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Yeah, this is just common purpose, isn't it? Through and through, and New World Order tactics to make sure that the people that we're dealing with here are kept under the thumb, without a shadow of a doubt. And
Definitely.
Obviously, this is where the government legislation tends to win every time because people are not aware of it. And I suppose now that we've highlighted the fact that we've got corrupt MPs who are part of the system as well, you know, it's all right for them on the huge expenses, but how do ordinary people get on?
Exactly.
You know, it's a bit of an atrocity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. I've got some questions here that I'd like to ask you, and these are from different people that I've spoken to.
Yeah.
One question is, what proof do you have that the CSA breaks laws?
Basically, the proof that we get when the CSA breaks laws is when people contact the CSA, they have reason to contact them. And they contact them and they speak to a caseworker, for instance. And the favourite chestnut with the CSA at the moment is about arrears and the collection of arrears within a 2-year timescale. And CSA are saying it's an actual law.
Right. And
we've researched it, we've looked into it, and it's not a law. By any means, it's not a law. We actually have a recording of a conversation where a CSA staff member actually states it's a law, and it's not. We've had to advise members, we've had to advise fathers who've contacted us either via telephone or email and said, you know, they're saying I'm in arrears, I've paid from the word go, I've never missed a payment, whatever I've been assessed at, I've paid that amount, how can I be in arrears unless the assessment has been incorrect? We have then advised, please send a letter in, recorded delivery to be signed for, so that you know that they've got it, and request under the Freedom of Information Act a full breakdown of your account. You're within the law to ask for this, and then it should, you know, give you what you need. Invariably, when they get this, usually after the time scale they're supposed to give it in, which is 20 working days, by the way. Right. When they receive it and they look through it, the bigger picture opens up, because then we realise that figures have not been put in. For example, non-resident parents can change jobs. Right. They send a letter in and they say, right, I've changed the employment, that was my old employment details, this is my new employment details, could you amend the records accordingly? But the wages haven't changed, and it's never entered in. Sometimes the wages can change, amounts vary, and again, you find that the amounts haven't been entered in, so they're on incorrect assessments. Gotcha. And this is obviously back to the conversation that I had with Maurice earlier on with regards to the corruption, the collusion within the CSA, as figures are changed, altered and whatnot, and we don't have any proof or evidence of it apart from what they tell us. But fortunately for you and for Maurice, I believe that you've got proof and genuine proof that the CSA have been corrupt here. And the question that we have to ask here, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and the predecessors in government, you're aware of the corruption, we've spoken of the corruption, why don't you contact us at DWPCorruption.co.uk and find out? If you're working on behalf of the public, it's your public duty to look after the people. You seem to be ignoring us, Mr. Brown. What is the problem? Yeah, definitely. So what are your thoughts on that? My thoughts are exactly the same, and for a start, we've had MPs actually trying to write letters and speak personally with Mr. Brown, and it's always passed to an Undersecretary. He never corresponds himself, even to the MPs. Never answers the telephone calls, won't give any answers. We just pass from pillar to post. Right. The CSA was set up to help chase the errant fathers. Is this not what is happening at the moment? No, we've discovered since they first started up in 1993, under obviously the Conservative government, under Mrs Thatcher, they made a promise, and the initial promise was to actually bring down, as it was then, the Department of Social Security lone parent bill. People, obviously, lone parents being on benefits. And basically what happened was it was costing far too much money to try and chase these errant fathers, and it ended up with the CSA being in billions of pounds worth of debt. Right. We're coming up to the end of this video, so this is the end of part 2. Look forward to speaking to you in a bit. Bye for now.